Hi, I'm Marty Edwards, and welcome to Lesson 1 in our mentorship of Black Sheep Harley-Davidsons for Christ. Today we're going to be talking about our purpose. And Black Sheep is very specific about having a purpose for our ministry. So many people in church ministry are busy. They fill up every day doing something and still not get the job done that they intended to do. Let me ask you a question. If your wife was to send you to the grocery store and ask you to get a gallon of milk, and you came back with 9 bags of groceries, you know, all the essentials like Oreos and frozen pizza and soda and so forth and so on, and you forgot the milk, would you have succeeded in your mission? No, you would not have. She wanted milk. That's what you were sent to do. In Black Sheep, we have a purpose. We are a ministry. We exist for a reason, and we want to make sure that we hit our target when we go out to do what we're called to do. In our purpose, on page 6 in your mentorship booklet, you'll see that we're talking about the difference between a ministry and a club. Now, a lot of people use those words kind of freely, back and forth. But listen to me, it's very important that you not think or use the terms that you're joining a motorcycle club. We're not a club. We're a ministry. Even on our patch, there's an MM, which stands for Motorcycle Ministry. We have a one-piece patch, not a three-piece patch, which represents a motorcycle club. And we do that on purpose. Let me read to you from page 6. It says, if you've been around the motorcycle culture for any length of time, you likely know the difference between a club and a ministry. If you're new on the scene, it may just seem like semantics. The difference between the two, however, is huge and has everything to do with who we are and what we do. And you need to not only know the difference, you need to accept the difference. What do I mean by that? We'll often see people coming to us out of a club context or out of another club, and whether they mean to or not, you'll see them trying to steer their ministry or their chapter to look more like a club. Or you'll see people that come out of the church and they'll try to steer away from the motorcycle culture and use a lot of Christianese and try to make Black Sheep a church. We're not a church. We're not a club. We're a motorcycle ministry, and that is a very specific animal. A motorcycle club is a group of individuals whose primary interest and activity involves motorcycles and the motorcycle world. They may have a special social meaning from the point of view of what they do, where they go. Maybe they're raising money for different worthy causes. Maybe they're a part of a 1% subculture club, and they have a big MC on their back. There's a reason for that. They want to be identified as a club. Not us. We have a big MM on our back. We're a motorcycle ministry. An outlaw or a 1% club can mean merely that the club is not chartered under something like American Motorcycle Association. Or it could, in reality, be an outlaw organization. But outside of the outlaw culture, the word motorcycle club simply means that. A group of riders who get together to ride and maybe raise money, but basically to have a good time. Black Sheep is a motorcycle ministry, and therefore we are on a mission. We have a job to do. A lot of people have joined Black Sheep through the years with the idea they hear motorcycle ministry, and what they really picture is that basically after church on Sundays, we're going to go to the Sizzler and ride our motorcycles, and then maybe do a little 5-mile ride around town, and then come back to our homes. No, Black Sheep is a servant organization. Black Sheep's hard work. You're going to sweat if you're Black Sheep. It's going to cost you. You're going to go places sometimes that, gee, that's not really convenient. It's raining. It's cold. It's too hot. But when you're on a mission, the mission comes first. There is in your notes on the bottom of page 6 a really good website that you can go to that will basically help you to understand all the little details about the motorcycle club world. Now, you don't have to memorize those pages and pages of information, but it would help to familiarize yourself with some of their terms. There's things that you do and there's things that you don't do, and we'll talk about that later. But familiarize yourself with the very specifics of the difference between a motorcycle ministry and a motorcycle club. Let me give you some examples. Motorcycle clubs have been around since the early 40s. Motorcycle ministries didn't start until the 70s. And Black Sheep's a fairly new kid on the block. We didn't start until 1999. Motorcycle clubs usually wear a 3-piece patch and may also be identified by a black diamond that says 1%. The Black Sheep, a motorcycle ministry, is a single-piece patch. Some motorcycle ministries will have 2 patches, or they'll even have a single patch that looks like 3 patches. But in truth, motorcycle ministry is no more than 1 or 2 patches, and in our case, we're a 1-piece patch. If you choose later on to wear the Jesus is Lord rocker above your vest, you'll need to make sure that it literally touches the round Black Sheep patch, because we identify ourselves with a 1-piece motorcycle ministry patch. The primary interest of a motorcycle club centers around motorcycles and whatever their business is. But the motorcycle ministry of Black Sheep centers around bringing people to Christ. That's our ultimate goal. If at the end of the year we haven't led people to Christ, we haven't influenced people to Christ, we haven't brought prodigals back to Christ, then we've missed the mark. If we're riding around and we're staying very busy and we're doing all sorts of things, but we're not influencing people for Christ, then this ministry has missed the mark. Motorcycle clubs are often rebellious. They're often against authority. They speak very low of law enforcement, and that's fine. That's their privilege. That's their right. But you need to know that Black Sheep submits to authority, and we embrace law enforcement. In fact, there's even some Christian motorcycle ministries that will not allow military or law enforcement into their organizations. But if you're watching this and you're law enforcement or ex-law enforcement or you're military, we're glad that you want to join Black Sheep. We respect you, we honor you, and we welcome you to this ministry. Motorcycle clubs rarely, if ever, will patch a woman. A Black Sheep proudly patches women. There are some motorcycle ministries that they'll patch the women, but they give them a smaller patch. And it's almost condescending. They'll give them this smaller patch, a smaller version of the real patch. Black Sheep women are not distinguished between men in any office, in any privilege, in anything that they do. Some ride, some are sissy bar sweethearts, they ride on the back. Some even choose to drive a truck and pull a trailer for emergency cases on long trips. Women, you are highly respected, highly valued in this ministry. The only thing that we don't encourage our women to do is to be what we call a regional director. And the only reason for that is that you have to deal with the outlaw clubs, and they don't want to talk to a woman. And so for your sake and for your safety, we just keep the women from being regional directors for their own good. But we have women presidents, we have women vice presidents and secretaries and treasurers, we've had women on our board, we certainly have women on our staff, and we value the women in Black Sheep Harley-Davidsons for Christ. Motorcycle clubs say that they earn their patches through probationary systems. You've heard of maybe being a probie or a prospect into a motorcycle club. Those are earned patches. Most ministries, you buy the patch. Black Sheep is someplace in the middle. You can't buy your patch. The patch that you will receive for being a Black Sheep will never belong to you. You can have 2 patches on 2 different vests, maybe a winter vest and a summer vest, but that patch will never belong to you. If you're a member of Black Sheep for 50 years, that patch will never belong to you. The patch always belongs to the national ministry. We control that patch because that patch represents the integrity, the character, the reputation of the ministry. But you do have to earn that patch. How do you earn it? Do you earn it by polishing the president's bike or running out and getting us a pizza? No, in Black Sheep, you earn the patch by going through this mentorship program. We just want you to understand motorcycle ministry before you start. It's not about jumping through hoops. It's not about paying your dues. It's about learning. It's about embracing. It's about preparing yourself for the ministry. So yes, motorcycle clubs, you earn your patch, and in Black Sheep, you earn your patch as well. Black Sheep patches always remain the property of the international ministry. Motorcycles have a high level of commitment with serious consequences for leaving. In some cases, it's been said that you can't leave a motorcycle club. It's blood in, blood out. Well, it's not that way in Black Sheep, and yet we are pleading with our members to see this as more than a hobby, more than something you're going to do for a few years. Listen, I will live and I will die a member of Black Sheep Harley-Davidsons for Christ. You don't have to do this, but I've tattooed the Black Sheep emblem on my arm. I am Black Sheep through and through. I would never leave this ministry. Someday I'll have to retire and I won't be able to ride anymore, but I will forever be a Black Sheep. And we pray that you coming into this ministry would have that same heart, that same sense of commitment, that I'm in this for the long, long haul. On page 7, there's a list of different clubs and different ministries to give you an idea who some of them are and to see the way their patches are configured. But if you're new to the biker culture, we want to encourage you to educate yourself. Go online, look up the different organizations. If you have a chance to read some of the books that we've suggested, please read those and understand what's going on around us. If you dare, you can visit YouTube and look up some of the organizations and learn a lot as well. And again, you're going to see things that maybe you normally wouldn't look at, and you can kind of speed through those things. You're going to hear things that might be offensive to your ears, but just understand that that's the culture in which we work. We don't linger there. We don't spend a lot of time there, but you're going to run into stuff. You know, I often think about Jesus when he was sitting in Matthew's house, and he's having dinner with these less than godly people. And I imagine there was some joking going around. There must have been some language going around. Have you ever considered this? A prostitute came up and began to wash Jesus' feet. And of course, they said if this man was a prophet, he would know that she was a prostitute. Jesus knew she was a prostitute. What I want to know was, what was she doing in Matthew's house? Why was she there? I think that the culture there maybe was questionable as well. And so we're in the world, but we're not of the world. And as Christians, we need to not freak out when we see something on a t-shirt that's vulgar or see somebody who doesn't represent Christ. We don't expect them to represent Christ. They're non-believers. That's why we're doing what we're doing. But educate yourself just the same and see what's going on in the motorcycle world. So it's important to understand that you never want to use the term club. You never want to use the term colors, because they will correct you. We have a patch on our back. The vest is called a cut or a vest. And we are a motorcycle ministry. We are not a club. Now, on the bottom of page 8, there are 3 things that we consider descriptions of why this motorcycle ministry is expensive and why you need to count the cost before you join Black Sheep. Isn't that what Jesus said? Count the cost before you build a tower. Count the cost before you build a house. Well, you need to count the cost before you join Black Sheep. First of all, it can be expensive in money terms. Motorcycles are expensive. But you know, when we go to an event, if it's a day away, you've got a day's travel, you've got gas, you've got food. If you're going to spend the night, you've got a motel. If you have to register for the event, it can be $20 or $50 or maybe even a couple $100 if it's something that's going to go on for the weekend. I think about the cost that I spent when I went to Africa one time on a mission. It cost me $2,500 just to get there. Today, when I go out on a Saturday, I might spend $15 to $50. That's a part of the cost of doing ministry. I remember in the early days of Black Sheep, one of our presidents said to his chapter after breakfast, he said, hey, look, today after breakfast, we're going to take about a 20-minute ride, and there's this motorcycle event going on. Now, it cost $20 to get in. The show's worth about $10. But for $10 more, you get to represent Jesus Christ in a secular setting. So brace yourself. You don't have to go to everything, but motorcycle ministry is expensive. It's going to cost you when you go, and it's going to be worth every dime of it, because you're going to go places the church can't go. That's the beauty of this ministry, is we go where nobody else can go. It's also going to cost you in time. Now, if you're a member of a club, you're on call 24/7. They can call you on Saturday morning and say, hey, we're riding and you need to go. We're not that crazy. We do, however, expect our members to spend 5, maybe 10 hours a week in motorcycle ministry. What does that mean? That means you're riding. That means you're stopping off at the dealership. That means you're going to a chapter meeting. It might mean that you're going to an event. It might mean that you stop along the highway because there's a biker who's got a flat tire and you're just pulling over to see if he needs your cell phone or if he needs some cold water. Motorcycle ministry is a lifestyle. It's not just an event we go to, it's the way we live. We think like a biker, we live like a biker. We want to be a part of that culture and we want to help our people. And that usually takes 5 to 10 hours a week. So you need to calculate that cost as well. And the third thing is it can be hard work. It can cost you hard work. Let me read this to you at the bottom of page 8. Ministry can be hard work. We go to a lot of different motorcycle functions and do a lot of different things. For instance, as a member of a local Black Sheep chapter, you might be expected to attend your local hog chapter meetings. Let me tell you something. Hog chapter meetings aren't the most fun thing in the world. But once again, you're there in the midst of non-believers representing Jesus Christ. As a member of Black Sheep International, there will be opportunities for training and for fellowship throughout the year. And as a missionary within the motorcycle community, you will find an endless number of ministry opportunities. You can't do it all, so you'll have to prioritize and choose wisely. What are some of these events? Visiting the sick or the injured in the hospital. Riding, going on a Sunday afternoon ride with your local hog chapter. Visiting your local Harley-Davidson dealership as an opportunity simply to be known and to meet new people. Raising money for injured riders. Serving as a volunteer photographer for your local hog chapter. Training to be a chaplain so that you can perform weddings and funerals. Get on the staff of a local hospital as a chaplain. Never missing the opportunity to help a stranded biker along the road. You might even be a part of one of our groups that sets up a boot shine booth at the dealership or a motorcycle event. You might serve at a major event and be used in parking or poker stops or whatever it takes. The point is, you're going to be busy. We're going to work you. This isn't a club. This is a motorcycle ministry. One more time, we do not try to emulate motorcycle clubs. We have no ambition to be a club or to be a 1% biker. We have no interest in club politics. We have no interest in territories, hierarchy, or pretension of being some kind of tough guy or something. And while we do not support any one motorcycle club ever, we are willing to help anyone. We are servants of Jesus Christ, seeking to represent Him well in all that we do, serving those in the motorcycle community. So are you ready? This is a ministry. This is not a club. It's a ministry that you're involved in. It's a ministry that you're working in, not a club that you belong to. It's a lot more than a patch. It's a lifestyle, and there's a lot to be done. Thanks for listening.